You are now rocking with the one and only Africa Allah, and you're tuned into Being Africa Allah right here on the Discover Music Channel by Playmaster today. Today is all about family. Ah, we say family. I got my cousin in the building, Compton Timberwolf from OK Future Labs, and he is here to talk about everything artistic. Yo, Compton, what's goody?
Yo, what's good, guys? I'm excited to be on the show. Yo, shout out to Africa Allah. Yo, thank you for having me and thank you for pulling up to the event.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with that. Recently you were in South Florida for Art Basel, and
hmm
you had like two installments.
Two installments. We
So
did a
tell us a little bit about that.
so Technique Records. I made that connection with Susie Analog, part of Never Normal Records. Um, Paper Water. Those are a duo that's duo slash collective that's been very integral for the Miami community, especially with the new generation. And we had Duality from Public Energy, who is another collective that also came together to put this event together. So all three of those collectives and myself, OK Future Labs, we came together with Technique Records. Shout out to them. Uh, and they gave us a space for 2 days. It was beautiful, and um, the theme for that event and next year's like all energy is basically by any means sonically. So there's liberation when it comes to music that I found personally, and there's a lot of uh, pathways that I wouldn't even have the opportunity, let alone even being a sonic ambassador for like myself as a black man and as a thought leader in this environment. Like music got me there for that. So like by any means sonically means like, expressing yourself, like really getting your ideas out and really like cultivating and building upon your sound and your self expressions. So and I also been a huge advocate for Bobby Seale and the rest of the Bobby Black Panther Party. I've read a lot of the books. France Fanon, Black Skin, White Mask, just a lot of books on Black liberation and what it means to have like the Black identity. So that's like the main thing, by any means sonically. That's what this
By
first
any
event is
means
about.
sonically.
By any means sonically.
Now, you work as a technical advisor, is that right?
I'm a
For
technical director.
tech. Oh, okay, okay, the big talk, big man talk there. Tell us a little bit about the company that you work for and what that entails as a technical director.
OK Player first started off as a message board for music enthusiasts, especially in hip hop. That was mostly centered around Philadelphia and New York. And that bloomed into basically becoming the first social media platform ever to like have a discourse about whatever music or anything within the hip hop culture that was on their mind, and also the celebrity or talent would actually will be on the boards to see the criticism, and that's before Twitter. So after that, we had Jack Doherty like getting Twitter and doing all that, but Questlove actually started that. Now we're in 2024 and we're moving from the message boards into actual media. And what we wanted to do is highlight all the cultural aspects around the world that inspires like the black culture or the like black narrative. So we have OK Africa, we have OK Future Labs, we have OK Player Go, and a bunch of other accounts. And basically, we just want to go ahead and give a platform and just archive these these moments in just history at this point, because when it comes to OK Future Labs, it's bigger than hip hop, because there's house music that's been invented by black people. There's rock and roll that's been invented like black people. Drum and bass that's made sampled off of like a black man. Um, Shit, actually going back to rock and roll was made by a gay black woman. If we want to be really real, and we need to have these stories told, um, and these stories outlined, especially by the people who had made the history. I feel like a lot of the times history is told by like the winners or people that wasn't actually there for the scene, so they could add themselves into the story. And I personally believe that we need to have the people that are making history telling their history. So that's what
Okay,
I
same
make.
here.
That's what I make sure that we're keeping up the stuff when it comes to OK Player, especially with OK Future Labs.
Okay.
And one other thing is making sure that the ladies and the women have a platform to feel like they can express themselves and they can tell their story. Because what I know, if you want to know how any environment really is and how rough it is, you ask a woman about it. Women can survive through anything, and if you want to know like what's going down, I always talk to women.
Talk to women, discovering the sound, discovering the culture of sound. And that's what we're talking about today, the sound, the culture of sound. Now, the installment that you had at Art Basel was a a mixed media event. You
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
music, art, and just it was digital
Mhm.
and virtual. It was virtual and physical. So we had a hybrid mixed media event that allowed people to express themselves sonically, right?
Mhm.
You asked me off air what my opinion of the event was.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was definitely eclectic. It was
Mhm.
something that I have never seen or heard before. And it put me in the space of the majority of the people that I know are producers and DJs. My entire, like when I look at my life and my friends and everything, they all work in entertainment. Everybody, I grew up in the sound, grew up with sound systems, Jamaican DJs and such. So I only know DJs and producers. And with all of that, the sounds that I heard, I was like, okay, this is different. It didn't,
Mhm.
it made me feel different, but it didn't make me feel like, oh God, I want to go home.
Good. Good.
It was like, no, because I'm a music snob. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I'm a music snob. Like, if I
And you
go
should,
someplace
and you should
and a
be,
DJ can't DJ, I'd be like, what?
and you should be, and you should be, and you should be. And that's the reason. That's another reason why I love OK Player. Is like it's not hating if it's like actual real like critique. There's a difference
Right,
between I just don't like that, or you know what, we can do better with this, because there's been like a necessary need to, not saying like there needs to be like the sonic police, but there's a difference between having a selector and a DJ, and we all know that by the transition and how
right,
intentional you are with the key signature and the tempo. You know, if you're doing like cut time where you're like doing something that's mixes up that's down tempo with up tempo, and you're doing the cut time, great, cool, beautiful blend. If you know how to work within triplets and knowing how to mix between two techno records and do like that triplet feel, you have to know how to use your mental math. And you can't use the sync button. We're not going to say any names, but we know we talked about a person that had a few rough transitions. But you know that they're also going to see that video, and I want to give them another opportunity to go ahead and make up that fact. It comes with the game. It comes with the game, and I love it.
but that's one of the things, that's one of the beauties of actually mixing mixing on tape or recording your content, because it allows you to listen and watch what you've done and see where you make your mistakes. Like you're never going to be 100%. Even the best of the best are never 100%. They do things and they're like, oh my God. And to us, we're like, to layman, not to us, because I listen, I could hear everything, but to layman,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, that was awesome, and you sit in there, and you know that's one of the things where when I go out to events with other DJs, it's like, okay, because you hear everything, and they're looking, and they know that other people are in there, people that know are in there judging, right?
Mhm.
But it's not how you mess up, it's how you get out of it. And
Yes.
that's what I tell all of my DJ friends, like, hey, you're gonna have bad times, but you have to be able to get out of it and bring the crowd back. They have to
Mhm.
forget that millisecond of misery. All
Mm.
right.
Mm.
So again,
Millisecond of misery.
being
That's
able
a
to
that's a
record and
quote. That's a
perform
quotable.
on set
That's a
allows you to
quotable.
do this.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that sometimes you mess up in big spaces, and that's what people hone in on, and that might become your viral moment. But at least people talking about you. So
Ah!
let's get into who Compton Timberwolf is. Compton, Compton, Compton.
Mhm.
So for everybody, I recently reconnected with Compton. Like last time I seen Compton, he was like a baby.
Baby. So yeah. So popped out as a baby, came back with a whole mustache. You're like, whoa.
Right, right. Because we walked in, and I'm looking at this person, and it was because I don't know. I might have seen you in places before and never knew who you were, right? Because
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
looking at you and I'm like, I noticed. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, I noticed, but I don't know. I'm like, that's a family member. Okay, so I'm putting it in the back of my mind. So
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
So I got an opportunity to pay attention to your work online after the funeral. God
Mhm.
rest the
Mhm.
dead. My auntie, my last auntie, she
Yeah.
passed earlier in 2024,
Mhm.
and I had an opportunity to catch up with you and see what you were doing. Right, pay attention to your
Mhm.
work,
Mhm.
and it's just so amazing how we we haven't seen each other for years, and the more I get to know about my father and his family line, it's just amazing that so many of us in that family are into entertainment and technology.
Mhm. Right?
um and watching you, I was like, wow, this is like a boy me. I mean, I don't play drums and things, that I cannot do that,
Mhm.
but I was just watching you work, and I was just like so amazed and at awe and just so proud. Like, wow, there are other people that, because I've felt strange for a long, long time,
Mhm.
dedicated my life to music and entertainment and just culture and history. I just felt so weird because there was nobody that could understand that.
Mhm.
And in the write up that I did, which was finally seen, that was the last thing you said to me when we were speaking. You said, "I feel seen," and I was like, that's interesting because you don't, like, I feel like a kindred spirit. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm. Me too.
And I want to talk about your passion for the music. What brought that on? Why did you tap into music? What was your calling? At what moment did you know this is what you want to do?
Funny enough, it was another funeral that started that. Uh, yeah. So before I was into music, I was actually into illustration. I would start off drawing. I was into Cahill Gibran, and he would do these books. The first one was called The Prophet, and he would write these long poems, and it would also include illustration. Loved that for a while. I was, I'm from the Bronx, so I was also into graffiti. I would also put graffiti and murals on people's sneakers and jackets. But I think it was when my aunt and my auntie, wow, Auntie Doris and my grandpa Alan, they both passed away from cancer. Grandpa Alan had colon cancer, and Aunt Doris had breast cancer. And they actually had to attend their funerals the same week back to back.
Mm.
And I remember I said to myself, I want to do something that can't be destroyed. I want to be in an art meeting that can't be destroyed. I don't know what it is, but it was painful to have the memory attached to my grandpa and my aunt Doris because they were very supportive of my artwork and illustration. But I wanted to have an expression that was bigger than than a physical means. My sister came back with some drumsticks from school, and she was learning how to drum, and I was like, wait, what? What's this? So I would see her practice, and then like whenever she stopped practicing, I would take the drumsticks. So I was at grandma's house over here, like beating on buckets and stuff like that. I'm around about 9, no, 10, because I was like, okay, that's when Kablam was out. I used to do that, and he hit the buckets and go outside of the projects in Douglas and just like go crazy. So that's how I first got into the music, and then I got into a jazz band, and I was like, oh my God, I get to make this beautiful sound with all these people, and I found community in that. And if we come together, we can make a beautiful moment every time. And I fell in love with music and improvisation. But I like the blend between chaos and order, and like how we can mix it with each other and also have the self expression. And also like it's like becoming an individual and then like together as a unit again. There's this mysterious force that's moving throughout the room that's putting us all together. That I was It was like magic to me, and I always wanted to be a magician when I was older. Before, I wanted to be a magician, a pirate, and a robot man. As when I first grew up, and then I said to myself, "All right, I can't be that." So I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to build computers, and I wanted to inspire the people, but I also wanted to be a rebel. So I think I've made a good, what's the word I'm looking for? I think I settled pretty good. I think I settled pretty well with my choices right now. Because being a
Right.
technical director, I have a lot of space to be creative and also have a team to be creative with. I really love a community. Before I was actually an OK player, I was in Good Call, and we were doing public advocacy, keeping people out of jail, because a lot of times that us as a community, we talk to and interact with police, but we don't know if we're actually putting ourselves in danger or not, because they
Mm.
don't need much probable cause to just hold you, not take you to jail, but hold you, and that will mess up people's jobs, mess up people's relationship with their kids and their home, because they can just like hold you for like what 48 hours, 72 hours. Nobody knows anything. It's pretty much like legal kidnapping, but we had a hotline so we can give you free legal advice. So we can embrace your rights while you're in the holding, and we can get you out of there at least by the same night. So I was doing that a lot before, and that's public advocacy is a very hard job, and definitely I definitely amend anybody that does that stuff. But what I know what I can do with sound is definitely give people a platform, use the same energy that I know that the Black Panther Party would use, and also just really uplift people's voice and their visibility. And I feel like that's the most important thing. People a lot of times have a voice, but they're not being shown. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? There's a lot of people that have like all these great stories, but they don't see the face and the eyeballs. It's usually being told by somebody else. So
Right.
just always like tie that back around. But
So
yeah, man,
advocacy through sound.
advocacy through sound. Because me and you both know, if anything, like if there's like bad sound in a video recording, it's we're nowhere. We might as well just
Right.
like keep it on mute. But
Right.
bad video with good sound always can work.
So advocacy through sound is what
Hmm.
brought you into this. Wow. Because you were advocating for your family members,
Hmm.
Auntie Doris and Grandpa Allen. You were advocating for them when you decided that you wanted to do something that would not be destroyed. And that
Hmm.
reminds me of, listen, CeeLo Green. He said, I'll be immortalized through wax CDs and cassettes. And that was one of the lines in the Goody Mob song. that made me say, I'm gonna keep doing this because
Mhm.
no matter what I do, this what I'm doing will always will live beyond me, you know?
Mhm.
And those are
Yeah.
things, I mean, and I used to be like, is that ego? But then over the course of the last 20 years, I realized that is documenting the history that's happening now.
Mhm.
Telling the stories of people that don't know how to tell the stories or can't get their information out. That's what we're doing with sound. That's what we're doing with video. That's what we're doing with the written word.
Mhm.
You have an opportunity on a larger platform to be able to make people's dreams come true, to tell their stories, to have them be heard, for them to finally be seen.
Mhm.
Do
I
you,
well,
how
go
do
ahead.
you feel? Do you feel
Mhm.
that you are using that power to the best of your ability?
Oh no, no. I feel like if I've ever become satisfied on like how I'm telling my story, I lose the passion going down this journey because I truly I love film, especially film that know how to utilize sound. Like Edgar Wright, even though he's like a comedy director, he knows how to use sound with like cuts and transitions so well. Same thing with Spike Lee. There's a couple of 70s directors that love using like sound and like using the rhythm of the music to really move within the film into the space of the composition. So those are the things I'm really chasing for, and I want to use CGI and green screen and actually practical effects to do that. I'm a theater kid at heart. Honestly, like this music stuff, it's just me doing a musical, and I'm inviting you guys to my world. And I think that we all forget that we're going to become ancestors one day, and I don't. And when I have like my picture on the altar and they call upon me, like the Orishas, I gotta think about, what ancestor or Orisha I want to be called upon. Am I gonna be called upon for strength? Am I gonna be the ancestor of music? Am I gonna be the ancestor of endurance? Am I gonna be the ancestor of creativity and infinite thought? What kind of ancestor am I gonna be? What energy am I gonna be called upon? And that's what I think about like legacy. And I want other people to think about that. Is there after this step, your people are gonna call upon you even after this life. And what's the
Right.
energy and the energy that you put in this step is gonna be dictating how people call upon your name. And that's another thing. The name, okay, when you call upon my name, and I chose this name, I wanted to call upon strength and creativity. And I want everybody to think, hey, I want to go ahead and call upon Compton, my ancestor Compton, the the patron Saint Compton, because I need this specific energy, this specific intention, because I know he lived his life intentionally this way, and I need to connect with that timeline.
So, talking about music and rhythm for the composition of a story,
Mm.
if you had to tell your story, what are the five records that would play as the soundtrack to your life?
Ooh, I think it would be Stevie Wonder, Superwoman, but it's the version that he played live in the Rainbow Room at PBS, because in that arrangement he did a sort of tribal arrangement towards the end of the B section of that song, and I was just like, Stevie Wonder was always amazing. Let's start off there, but man, him live is goes crazy. Like, like I'm jealous. I still haven't seen this man play live. I've seen videos of him playing live and I cried and all that stuff like that, but I want to be wept in tears seeing him live. Another one would Drunk and Nasty by Pierre Bourne, because I love how he mixed that record and how it's a simple song, but I like the arrangements of it. It's a trap song, but it's still great. I think it's a great song. That oh man, I don't want to pick too much Stevie Wonder. Um, because
It's
that's
your
what
soundtrack. It's your
it's my
soundtrack.
soundtrack. It's our Inner Visions. Stevie Wonder again, because it's fire. It's like boo doo boo boom boom, 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 boom. That one. Oh, oh, Adrian Young turned down the sound. He's another music producer and composer. Adrian Young is pretty. He doesn't know that he's my dad, but I want the record to show that he's definitely my dad. He plays so many different instruments, and I even though I only play two, I play keys and I play drums fairly well. I would love to learn as many instruments as Adrian Young, aka Dad. And if I am going to talk about Dad, I want to talk about Tony Allen. He's a drummer that played with Fela Kuti on Zombie. And if you're talking about having a mean pocket, you would have to learn Tony Allen because he knows how to shuffle, he knows how to stay with a group, and he could play for hours. We're talking about a man of endurance, and he could do. He's in his 70s right now, and he will still bust your ass. And like I love that. Like he is like what it means to be a patron saint of drums. Who else? Who else? You said Tony Allen,
Well,
and
you've done your five. You've done your five, but I guess we
I
will keep
did.
going.
Oh shoot, my bad, my bad, my bad. Oh, my bad, my bad. And one for Grandpa, Clyde Stubblefield. Oh my God, make it funky. That's it. That's it. I forgot that's James Brown, but I said the drummer. But yeah, that's it. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. So I'm hearing a pattern here, right?
hmm
It's interesting that you're well versed and you have an eclectic feel, right? Most people your age are not listening to those records.
That's sad.
I know. Listen, I've played stuff and they like, what is this? And um,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that you have this feel and sound, and it makes sense because of the way you move and the way you move. That you can
hmm
tell that there's a deeper spirit inside of you. I don't
hmm
think that you could be who you are with the music of today.
No. I I barely said anything that's current. I said one thing current. That was about
Right.
it.
But yeah, like there's a different energy from those generations that have been lost in the I want to I can't even call it music. The sounds of today. Yeah, I
hmm
gotta call it sounds. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there was I think there was you guys were playing a mix on the I'm sorry, I'm gonna take it back to the horizon, right?
Yeah.
And I just was sitting there confused. I had to call one of my DJs and I was like, we really expect too much from our DJs. And he was like, what do you mean?
No,
I
my
said,
bad, my bad.
I said, I can send you this link. He said, all right. So he said, so he hit me back and we had a long conversation. And he was like, they get millions of people there. They don't get. I'm using the accent because that's how he said it to me, right? It's
Nah,
like they get
nah,
millions of.
nah.
It's
I
like they
get
get
it.
millions of people over there. They don't get. Here we only get a certain amount of people, and they only want to hear a certain amount of things. But it's like I could understand they want to hear squirrels playing with nuts. That's fine.
Squirrels play with nuts. I love my people. I love my people. Yo, more of that. Yo, I need like a booklet of all the slang because that was amazing. I'm using that today.
So,
I'm gonna
so,
get that
so
off.
I so I just was like, okay. And um it was interesting because when you see black people, you think of one or two things, right? You don't think you don't think EDM, you don't think how like generally and
hmm
because of the way we've been socially conditioned,
hmm
we assume that certain things are not for us. Oh, that's white boy shit. But the reality is, sound in itself, culturally, has
Mm-hmm.
derived and always have come from the souls of Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what my point was, but I just
No,
you
no, no,
said
no, no,
something.
no. So
You
no.
said something and it just sparked like, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
your
I,
sound. That's what it
I,
is. Your
I think I
sound is
what
different.
the sound is different, and I also would like to follow up. Is like so Detroit, like just house music was made about three kids in the suburbs in Detroit. That's us. When it comes to like sound systems, that's coming from like Jamaica and stuff like that. I learned how to do sound pretty much breaking grandma's amp radio and then fixing it back together by opening up the joint and then changing out the transistors from Radio Shack. And like from there, I was like, oh, I could actually like heal this and make it sound better and improve it. And that's how I got into sound system culture. So like sound system culture just came from me from like innovation and like not trying to get beat up by grandma for like breaking her like her records and stuff like that. Because I was taking making mixtapes off of tape on Hot 97. So whenever I hear my favorite song come on, I would record it on tape. So when I go to school, I could like have something to bop to when I'm going back to school and stuff like that. The first songs I got was some of the freestyles from Hot 97, Ghostface Killer, Shay Shayla Ghost, and it was Al Green's yeah, well, and then me and my brother was singing over it. I think that was that. I don't know if Jansen remembers this, but we were singing over this Al Green together. Stay together. Yo, that joint was funny. I will pay any amount of money to get that tape back. But uh, I think innovation is really the history of like black people. And oh god, I wonder. Susie will probably be a better historian. Is talking about like the history of the percolator, Baltimore club music, and Jersey club music. I remember your eyes were opening during the Pussy Rat set during Jody Sims. You were like, "Woo, this is a lot." But that type of music that she was playing was like uh, a stance against like the usual like dick music. I fucked your bitch music that they are usually playing in the clubs. So to answer that, she came back with that. And I know your eyebrows was up to the ceiling. Like yo, cuz, yo, everybody out there, my cousin's eyebrows is up to the ceiling. Was like, wow, I haven't heard pussy rap so much. You were just like, wow. Um, yeah. Hey, what other thoughts that you had from some of those sets? Because we went through a lot of places. We went through a lot of drum and bass. Do you play a lot of drum and bass in around in Florida like that? My experience with sound culture was breaking my grandma's sound system because I wanted to play the Sesame Street Big Bird record. She told me never to touch the record player, but I did, and I played it really loud. I broke the speaker and I was very scared. And I said, I have to fix this because I cannot get beat right now and get a punishment. So me and my friend went to Radio Shack. I don't know if many people know about Radio Shack. It used to be a place where you get random spare parts. We got something called a transducer, and basically that helps um, stabilize the energy or the electricity that's going to the amplifier into the speaker.
Pause.
Yes,
How did you know what to get?
because I asked questions. And I took the whole thing to Radio Shack.
Because I'm like, well, you were a little brilliant genius there.
No, I wasn't.
That
No, I
word
was.
is so big. You were trying to play
Transducer.
Sesame Street and you're talking about transducer. Like, what? Okay.
No, so if I was child me, I was like, oh, mouth hanging out, oh no, So then me and my boy was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, yo, I see people like big speakers at Radio Shack all the time. I was like, we out. So we're in our inline skates. He got one side of the speaker, I got the other side of the speaker. This is like the Kenwood joints, if you could imagine it.
Yeah.
Boom, we go in there. The guy helped us open the joint up, and he opens up the joint. He's like, okay, he smelt something, and then there's a connective point that's on there's the black and red wire, which is the positive and negative point, and then there's another wire that's just like the electricity, and it's a white thing that looks like a cube, and that's the transducer. So boom, he uncouples that, puts that in together, and like, yo, when I tell you I was sweaty, he started playing music out of that joint. Oh, breath of relief, man. And I was just like, this guy right here is a magician. And I was like, I have to like know his ways. I started from there. I did that. I started taking the VCR and I started taking it apart and then putting it back together again. And I did the same thing with my PlayStation, and because there's a way to have it play Japanese games, but you have to hold down one kind of button that's on the PlayStation, so you can do that. And it started from breaking my grandma's record player. Sound system. And like not being afraid to opening something up and being patient to understanding how it works. You know, I think as a generation, because I am a part of this generation, I feel like there's a lot of instant gratification of things because we're expecting things to work a certain ways, but
Right.
we don't understand why it works. Because like I feel like as a millennial, I get to have the benefit of like experiencing before the internet and after the internet, and in that in between point where we had to code everything, like in MySpace, that was like a real pivotal point where I'm just like, oh, okay, like this internet's not just gonna work the way I want to. I have to like actually like feed it information. Uh, I I think it's very interesting that people are afraid of AI technology, and the fact that like I'm like, yo, this joint's like always been here. Like we don't have to worry about computers like taking our job as long as you're innovative and you're creative, because computers can't make new information. They can only composite what information is available to them. Like until we figure out what quantum computing is, our minds can actually contemplate the infinite and have infinite thought. Like we I'm like saying collective we, not me personally. Like I have like my juice regimen, I have CMOS, and I make sure that like, you know, my my third eye is like clear and stuff like that, so I can receive signals and like, you know, think creatively and dynamically. But like as like the culture, no, like we don't, we're not like using our infinite thought as much as we should. But I think we're not balanced, and I don't feel like if we actually got into music the right way, we like regulate our nervous systems enough so we can make creative decisions and dynamic thinking, and that's what it means to really um, be. What's really about like by any means sonically. It is about like, you know, regulating our nervous system. It's not just like about parties and stuff like that. It's just knowing what kind of frequency makes you calm so that you can like make decision making. Like me, I know I'm a jazz guy, so like if I listen to Cortex, if I listen to Adrian Young, if I listen to Laraji, if I listen to Alice Coltrane in the morning, I'm setting a certain intention that's going to carry me out through the day. And if sound selectors and DJs had the same thought of like, oh shoot, I'm coming to this crowd to like regulate the nervous systems of the masses and have them a great time, I feel like we'll be DJing in a totally different way.
Mm, mm. Preach. I feel like I need to call my connect. I'm sorry. Um,
I don't mean to go on my soapbox like that, but I feel really passionate about this thing.
No, but that's so because you said some you said a mouthful, right? But the concept of frequencies and understanding how to regulate people's experiences using frequencies and sound waves, that takes you into a whole different experience when you're looking to experience. You're looking for an auditory journey, you know.
Mhm.
Um, there's a sound in Caribbean culture that we associate with joy, and that's the music of soca. Um,
Mhm.
the frequency and everything is like you when you listen to soca, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a hard rock. You listen to soca and you're like, oh boy. Next thing you know, you're like, oh God, help me, and you just like joyful. You know what I mean? I grew up in hip hop. I grew up in hip
Mhm.
and about 10 years ago, I mean I've always been in the Caribbean scene, right? But about 10 years ago, by accident on purpose, um I ended up doing a documentary on the culture of or the sound of the Bahamas. And then they ended up introducing carnival into the mix. And I did a thing called Commerce versus Culture. And
Mhm.
during that time, I had an opportunity to go to a soca fete. Now,
Mhm.
I lived on the Parkway, right? So
Yeah.
I always like carnival would happen and I'd be like, oh God, it's too much instructions. They want you run left, run right. I'm like, wave a flag. Tell me what you want me. Just do one thing.
Red
I can't
light.
do all. It's too much instruction for me, right? So I was always a hip hop head, but I used to go to carnival because the guys, the bodies, man, bodies out there. But um
Talking shit, cuz. Talking shit.
but I ended up going to this soca fete and I was recording
Mhm.
and it changed my life.
Mhm.
At this point I was covering festivals and concerts and all of these things. So like I was doing Governor's Ball and Coachella and all these other concerts. I was doing that,
Woo.
covering them, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And after I did that, the last decade, I've been chasing carnivals. I've been looking for that it's like that first hit. It's like whew, because the way that that artist commanded that crowd and changed the vibration in that in that outdoor venue
Mhm.
was amazing. It was like the I've never felt that type of freedom.
Mm.
And it wasn't only from the sounds, it was from the way the person commanded the stage. And
Yeah.
I had never had that much fun. And like I said, I've been to almost every party, every concert, every festival, and I've
Mhm.
never enjoyed an event the way I enjoyed an event. And I had a camera in my hand. So you could imagine when I didn't have the camera in my hand, I was like, oh wow, this is
Oh, he's
amazing.
like, oh, we out.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like so if we can get back to that, I wish that for our music culturally across the board. You know, the other time that I've experienced something like that, and it's not necessarily it wasn't for me, but it was like the other time that I've experienced that type of pandemonium for a sound was
Mhm.
last year my husband did an EDM event.
Mhm.
And these people was like zombies. They was there from 4 p.m. to 12 noon the next day. And I was like, oh, we gotta go. I can't take this no more. It's just the same boom,
Mm.
boom, boom. And they had 5 records and they did this whole night. I was like, Jesus Christ. What? I don't know if it, I don't know. I don't know if it was liquid, if it was liquid libations that kept the vibe going, or if it's just them but they moved different though. It was probably about five us in there.
Mm. I also done events like that. I think that's mm. So that kind of like that brand of like techno, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna use that language. That brand of techno is infamous for that. It's infamous to being like till like eight 8 p.m. to 4 p.m. the next day type of event, and you know sometimes I think it's like, oh, these people are really into the music. Other times I'm like, I feel like they just want to find a place to finish their drugs. Uh, but I, but speaking on the version where like, there's like, it's more, uh, black and stuff like that. There's a event called, oh man, Soul Summit. Soul Summit that happens in Fort Greene Park every summer in Brooklyn, New York. It is a beautiful event, and it kind of reminds me of Zion from The Matrix. If you ever like watched the Matrix Reloaded or Matrix Revolutions, there was Zion, and there was this big party scene where everybody's dressed as sexy, and the house music that they're playing is like deep house, which has a lot more polyrhythms and way more melody and harmony, and it was like fire. So it's like that, but like outside in the park. Sometimes it rains, but people still come out, and the
Mm.
sound systems is like legit. Like these are legit Caribbean grade big speakers and amazing DJs. Shout out to DJ Spinner and like the whole Soul Summit crew, and they put out a great performance. And DJ Spinner also put on an event called Stevie Wonderful. He just plays
Right.
nothing but Stevie Wonder flips with like a disco deep house kind of feel. Whew! And he plays it in an amazing sound system room. He either will play in a good room or this other spot that's in Williamsburg. Fantastic.
You just gave me goosebumps thinking about that energy.
It's like I love when like when we do our music, they're like, oh, this is for me, and I'm like, yeah, like yeah, like it's like so in OK Future Labs, I do have I don't let race come between like people having like express themselves sonically and stuff like that, but
Okay.
see I do grade them on like how authentic it is because there's people that we do let into this space and we don't like check them on like how they respect the art form in the space. So I always like kind of keep that quality control, and it's just important because I really love the music that we do. But in terms of like house and like techno, like we need to take up more space and we need to claim more of it. I did an interview with Traxman, and he actually did like a whole demo and like demographic on the percolator, and like how it's like pretty much having influences of hip hop, techno, and all of that stuff, and how that like started becoming the beginning of house music,
Mm.
especially with sampling. And it comes to like the consistent like kick and stuff. Because before that, before the percolator didn't have like sound chops like that and random like speech patterns that's in techno that's infamous now.
Right. Okay.
So
So
yeah, I don't mean to go into a whole history lesson, but yeah,
no,
it's
that's great. Because we're here for the sound, the culture of sound, and that's what we're looking for, right? We're gonna end it off. I want you to tell us a little bit about OK Future Labs and what you plan to do with that product.
um yeah. So OK Future Labs is a place for DJs, audiophiles, and beat makers and just electronic artists, and give them a platform to express themselves, archive their work. This year's theme is by any means sonically. So, however you need to get your expression out, please do that. I feel like there's a very limited vocabulary, especially in the English language or any language at all. But like, we can always read intentions. I always felt like I may not speak every language, but if I could sit into any jam session, I could talk to any musician just by glaring into their eyes and just being very open to their body language and their motive of their sound. So, sound waves of freedom to the whole world. Honestly, that's what OK Future Labs is about. That's what I'm about.
Tell everybody how they can find you, where they can find you on social, or check out your website, etc., etc. What do you have coming up?
You can find me at OK Future Labs on YouTube, OK Future Labs on Twitch, OK Future Labs on Twitter. Just Google OK Future Labs, you'll see us. The next thing we have queued up on 2025, we're going to be doing something at South by Southwest, going to a record store, doing another live stream. We always do live streams every week on our Twitch channel. Yeah, man. I'll be dropping music next year. I can give you an undisclosed time, but you'll hear a lot more jazz and thuggery from me. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to put love and light in the world. Make a change for Black people.
This been Being Africa Allah right here on Discover Music Channel by Playmaster today. In the guest seat has been Compton Timberwolf of OK Future Labs. You guys make sure you check them out. Google and subscribe to the vibe, all right?